should I keep my house and rent it out as an investment property or should I sell it? This is a question I get all the time from clients, and especially recently have had to work through this with a few clients. They're leaving, they're PCSing, they're moving even in the same city to a new house, new area, and they're wondering, hey, should I keep this thing as an investment? And a lot of times I find that clients default to, yes, we should keep this as a rental. That always makes sense. Let's get a tenant in there. Let's start paying off our mortgage. And especially in this high interest rate environment, I've come to find that that's not always the best decision for that client and their financial future. So today I wanted to take you through a case study of a recent example, the exact numbers we were using, kind of the analysis we went through with the client, and the decision that we came to together with that client. It was a 39-year-old client that lives in Virginia, home value of $480,000, a mortgage of $431,000 balance at 5.63%. So you can see this is not a 7% mortgage, but it's certainly not one of those sub-3 mortgages that people were getting back in 2020, early 2021. So the statistics for this client, rent that they're going to be able to get on the open market per their property manager, $2,600 of monthly rent. Their mortgage, now their costs are going to be $2,531 for that mortgage. That property manager at 8% is going to be about $208 a month. That taxes, HOA, and insurance, which is really going to hurt because we're in Virginia, kind of one of those higher tax states, $935 a month. So you add all that up and we're in the hole, if we want to keep this property as a rental, and we're in the hole $1,074 per month. And this client came to me thinking that this was the right decision. They were going to keep this rental. Once we walk through this and show her the numbers, just now we're not even considering maintenance right now. We're not considering vacancy, right? So one long string of vacancies, these numbers get worse. We usually can assume around a 5% vacancy rate. And then also maintenance, right? So if we assume a 1% of value for home maintenance, right? These numbers become more like 6, and we add in vacancy expense. These numbers really become more like negative $1,600 a month when we add those things in. So the numbers just from this, I'll kind of show you a more apples to apples comparison of this, versus just investing in the stock market, maybe for this client, but just on this alone, simple like profit and loss pro forma here on the rental, we're in the hole at least $1,000, conservatively $1,000 a month. I think you got to ask yourself when you're looking at this, like, does this make sense to go in the hole $1,000 a month? Like, sure, the tenant is paying off, we're paying down some of our mortgage, but we do have this 5.63% interest rate, which is definitely driving this mortgage payment up. We still have quite a bit left on the mortgage, $431. Our tenant is going to be paying this thing down for us, but at the same time, we're pouring at least $1,000 a month into this investment that historically, right, the value is $480 now, and historically we can expect this to appreciate at about a 3% nominal rate. So, when you think about that logically, that's a lot tied up in one investment. We've got some equity certainly tied up, 40, 50 grand of equity, maybe after taxes or after realtor fees, right? It might be like 30 grand, but we've got equity tied up and we're continuing to pour into this investment that has some risk to it, definitely some leverage, right? And it's going to appreciate at a 3%. So just like, think about that logically. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And I'll show you further numbers on this, but just from here, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Now, if this was breaking even, or, it might make a little bit more sense, right? If this net income was if this is positive $500 a month and we're paying off our mortgage, right? Like, we can certainly make more cases for this, but this deep in the hole every month, I hate to see that number. And it's very, very difficult to make the case that this makes sense. Now, let's show a little bit more of a apples to apples comparison of like, hey, if this client keeps this rental versus just like, let's focus on the stock market, right? In this specific investment case, like, we're not going to get too in the weeds on this, but just want to kind of walk you through how I'm thinking about this. So we plug the numbers in, 5.63% rate, right? Starting rent, $2,600. Rents are going to increase about 5% a year. Property manager fees are 8%. Annual cost of maintenance, about 1% of the value. That's pretty standard. Vacancy rate, again, 5% of rents. That's also very standard. Real estate appreciation rate, 3% of value. That's very historically accurate. Stock market return, 10% of the value. Also very historically accurate. So if we compare two scenarios, one is we roll with this rental versus an investment account, right? Over the next 30 years, what this looks like. So early on, we can see this rental income is going to be $2,600, but after vacancy, mortgage, property manager expense, tax, insurance, HOA, and maintenance, our monthly P&L is going to be ugly first, right? We're like really $1,600 a month in the hole. Over time, this will certainly improve. And, by month 172, we're technically in the green every single month. And after that, our rents exceed our expenses because now we're paying down the principal of that mortgage more. We're not in the red so much every single month. What that does to us at the end, if we compare that to the stock market. So when I put these two scenarios next to each other, I assume that instead of putting $1,600 a month into this rental to keep it alive, we're investing $1,600 a month into the stock market, right? So I negate out the cash flows. And then when this rental becomes positive, let's say way later on, it's paying us $1,000 a month, maybe, this stock market investment is going to pay us $1,000 a month in dividends. When I do my comparison, I negate the cash flows, and I'm really just looking at what is that end outcome in 30 years for that client. So this client, the end value, if we assume an initial investment of $25,000, that's kind of the equity that I assume that the client has in the property. The end value of that real estate is $1.11 million. The selling costs are going to be $66,000 if we assume they just sell at the end. Tax is $95,000. Total end value of $952,000. Okay, if we assume that they instead choose the stock market route, they take my nudge, my advice. We start with $25,000 of this equity. We get rid of this property. She moves to the new home. We invest that in the stock market, and instead of pouring that $1,600 a month, right, $1,000 a month into that rental property, we're instead investing in a broad diversified portfolio of ETFs, index funds. Over time, we will have an ending value. Instead of $1.11 million in this property, we'll have $1.62 million in an investment account. Okay, selling costs are essentially zero. And then taxes on that, I assumed a $239,000 tax bill. That total end value is $1.38 million. So 1.38 versus 952,000. So the reason for that is just the numbers do not work out here, especially in the short term, in these first 10 years on that rental. And I think the interest rate is a huge driver of that. Her interest rate was 5.63%. If we change this interest rate to 3%, right? We assume 2.5% even, it changes the math significantly. In that scenario, the investment account is only worth $166,000, right? Because we're not pouring so much into the rental. Our mortgage payment's way lower. Our margins are way better. We're not so out of pocket into this rental. Conversely, if we assume an interest rate of 8%, it changes the calculation to the investment account being worth $2.44 million versus a $952,000 end value on the rental. So you can kind of see the interest rate plays a huge role in how much sense this rental makes over the long term. To sum this up, for this client, we ran the numbers. We're at least $1,000 a month out of pocket. Showed her this as well, this longer term projection, which is, there's tons of assumptions in here that could blow this up. Like we're trying to get a benchmark to kind of orient our minds around how to best make this decision. So for this client, she agreed with me, like, hey, this doesn't really make sense to keep this rental. She actually has another rental in another city that she is going to keep that thing cash flowed. It made a whole lot more sense than pouring over $1,000 a month into a rental that isn't going to appreciate at the rate where we can get in other investments. So she decided to take my advice and we're going to get rid of this property. We're certainly not anti-real estate. Investment real estate, it can be an awesome tool. When the numbers do not add up, I certainly want to point that out to the clients and bring that to their attention and say, hey, here's the trade-off we're making. Like, I want you to make your own decision, but I just want you to be fully informed on the facts rather than kind of going off this heuristic, this gut feeling that keeping rental real estate is always a good idea. So I hope that this was helpful. Hope that this is a helpful walkthrough of how to think about this decision, maybe in your own life when this will inevitably come up. If you have any questions, please email me. Happy to answer. And we will see you next week. Thanks for being here. Thank you for joining us today. Do you want the exact financial planning framework that I use with clients? go visit baskinfp.com where you can grab a free download of the ultimate military and veteran financial checklist to give you the bluff on what you need to be doing to manage your finances. We'll be back next week with some more content to help you on your journey to financial freedom. See you then. This is a friendly reminder that the Bluff Finance Podcast is general and educational in nature and does not constitute tax, investment, legal, or financial advice with respect to any particular individual or taxpayer. Please consult with your own tax, legal, financial, and other advisors regarding your own unique situation.